wide range of other international leaders and international bodies have weighed in on this situation. And they've weighed in a way, generally speaking, of condemning the use of chemical weapons, of condemning the Assad regime for using chemical weapons against civilians, and articulating a requirement that the Assad regime be held accountable for its actions. Those viewpoints are relevant to this discussion. Now, there's one other part of my answer that's important for you and your viewers to understand. The President of the United States is elected with the duty to protect the national security interests of the United States of America. And the decision he makes about the decisions that he makes about our foreign policy is with our national security interests front and center.
And John, just to follow up on that very quickly, last night in the PBS interview, he said that that there's a chance that chemical weapons might be turned against the United States. And I was just curious, he said that was part of his national security deliberations. Does he really think that Syria is capable of launching chemical weapons at the United States? What did he mean by that?
I think what we're very concerned about is the willingness that the Assad regime has demonstrated to use chemical weapons. It is apparent that they did so on the night of August 21st on a large scale that had horrific results. It's also been assessed by our intelligence community, something that we've talked about a lot this summer, that there have been a number of other occasions, admittedly on a smaller scale, but important nonetheless, where the Assad regime has used chemical weapons. We know they are sitting on a large stockpile of chemical weapons. They've demonstrated a willingness to use it. They, in violation of clear international norms. The president believes firmly, and he said this in the interview that he did with Chris Cuomo, and he said this in the interview that he conducted last night, that these international norms are important. And it is not appropriate for totalitarian dictators to flout them with impunity. So protecting that international norm is something that the president cares deeply about, but it's also a norm that other world leaders are very concerned about having been violated. But there are a couple of other ways in which our national interests intersect here. We're talking about a very volatile region of the world, and we're talking about maybe the most volatile country in one of the more volatile regions of the world. So that instability is a cause of significant concern to the president. He also mentioned in the interview that this country borders a NATO ally in Turkey. It borders one of our most important partners in the region, Jordan, and it is in close proximity to the nation of Israel, a country whose security we have vowed to protect. So there are a wide range of interests, and that doesn't even get into military bases and other interests that we have in the region. So there are a number of ways in which the national security interests of the United States are at stake in a pretty big way here. Okay, Kristen.
A number of members of Congress have said that they believe they should be able to vote before any military action is taken. Does the president agree with that? Does he think that Congress should have a vote?
What the president believes is that as he considers the appropriate response to this circumstance, that it is important for his administration to consult with Congress in a very robust way. And that's what we're seeing has happened. Since this event was first reported last week, we have seen senior administration officials consulting with senior members of Congress, whether it is the congressional leadership, senior members of the relevant committees, or even just members of Congress that have an expertise or interest in this area. So there is ongoing consultation with Congress, and the next step in that consultation will occur this evening at 6 p.m., where a number of senior officials in the administration will be gathering on the phone to consult again with some of these senior